This is tonight's the last night for the late starts. So people will be happy again. We'll be here earlier. What's up, Narc? Long time no see, friend. First. That's what I heard. It's the end of an era. This has been the late streaming time mode arc. I'll clean that up. It's a little wordy. You guys ready for a world war? I bet you Hegseth is.
What you think about when you're born into a fire? Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They wanna let the world.
Is Destiny in trouble? Legally or socially, or what do you mean? I'll give you a rundown of what I know about the Destiny situation, but I still think there's a bunch that nobody knows, but they haven't released enough yet.
Listen up now, because we're never dropping out. Beat the odds, beat the big house. Our brains are bigger than the doubt. We've been thinking for ourselves, never let the truth fade away.
That doesn't answer my question. Legally, socially, is he going to lose his show? Is he going to lose his freedom? Are you? I asked two questions and you said taped unaware. Are you asking if he's in trouble legally, or are you asking if he's going to be ran off the internet, shamed off the internet? Why can't you answer that question? Just answer this question. Legally or otherwise? And just put one of those words. Legally, otherwise. One of those words. levitating Cybertruck model. What the fuck is that? Now this is my playlist is broken. I've got to fix this. I got to stop it, I guess. Does that work? Yeah. Welcome. Losers.
Hey daddies, it's me, the Linda Binda from TikTok. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to thank you for watching Cold Beer Confessionals with Will Bird. I think that's just incredible. I've watched a few episodes and I'm just like very intrigued. But you know what I'm most intrigued in is Big Daddy's meat stick. I heard that it's very thick, like a good old German sausage. You know, Linda and her coochie loves that. Oh, never mind. Let's not go there. Anyways, I hope you have a good show and enjoy it as you can. There's a lot of weird things that go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Bindaland. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Will Bird. This is Cold Beer Confessional. Thank you for joining us. Welcome. All right, so here's what I know about the Destiny situation so far, okay? So if you guys remember, back in, like, last year, around election time, I guess, yeah, probably around October, November, a bunch of nude images and recordings were leaked about Destiny, right? It had, which she's bisexual and in an open relationship, so I had him with guys, him with girls, him with everybody, right? And there was a lot of people in those leaks. It was leaked through Kiwi Farms and Discord or whatever. And it came out, and a lot of people made fun of Destiny. It was like, I saw you this, I saw you that, and people were talking shit. And for a few days, you couldn't even go on Twitter without seeing basically porn with Destiny in it. So that was kind of like a hit piece that came out about him. And a lot of people made fun of him, made jokes about him, whatever. He kind of took it on the chin and just kept doing his thing. Kept doing his show, kept going on. What nobody really brought into question at the time was that, was there consent involved in taping all those videos? But Kiwi Farms did. Kiwi Farms, if you don't know, it's a site dedicated. They troll a bunch of people. They dox a bunch of people, whatever. It's not a great site. It's not the world's worst site either, but it's a site. Anyways. Then along comes some influencers that receive messages. There was so Destiny is like, does his stream, his political streams, and he has these people he calls orbiters. There are people not as big as Destiny, but they come in and out of Destiny streams, in and out of his life. He'll meet with some of them personally, like in real life. Some of them he just streams with, but they're like Destiny orbiters. They might disagree with him. They might agree with him. He debates with them. He talks with them. He does his shows around them sometimes, responds to their videos, and those are people that are orbiters. Nick Fuentes would be one of these orbiters, right? And a bunch of other people. There's tons of Destiny orbiters. One of them, one of the Destiny orbiters, kind of made her name for being a Destiny orbiter, but not sleeping with him. Her name was Pixie, Pxie, because a lot of the female orbiters, especially, had this connotation that went with them, like, hey, Destiny's fucking them, I guess. And that was always the rumor, whether it was true or not. Even when, like, Lauren Southern came in, everybody's like, oh, they're fucking, whatever. So Destiny, before the leaks, him and his wife broke up. They kind of said it was mutual. They were going on about their lives, whatever. Then the leaks happened. Pixie was an orbiter of Destiny's. And she kind of built her reputation on, like, I was able to make it without sleeping with Destiny. Right? I wasn't one of these e-thoughts that has to sleep with him to gain clout. Well, when the leaks happen, somebody goes through and is like, oh, that's one of those is Pixie. People started identifying, saying, hey, I think this is Pixie. I think this is Pixie. I think this is Pixie. Which, again, her reputation was she didn't sleep with Destiny. But a lot of people thought, hey, this is Pixie. Recently, That was never confirmed, right? People just thought it was Pixie. Recently, Pixie came forward, okay, and went, I don't have any drop frames, so it's probably you, I would guess. Okay, recently Pixie came forward and said that her image was released without her consent, and it was revenge porn, and that she did not consent to her image being released. Now, she says she's been talking to a lawyer and that she's going to take Destiny to court and starts a GoFundMe for donations to take Destiny to court, and she's afraid because Destiny's wealthy and powerful and blah, 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 whatever. Destiny's side of the story. Destiny claims, he makes a post once these allegations come out and says, look, I guess here's the backstory. Destiny had all these videos, and we're not exactly sure how they got released, but the claim is that there was this other girl that he wanted to hook up with, an OnlyFans girl, and the claim is he was sending her videos of him with other people. Like they were sexting, and he was sending some of these sex videos with other people in them to this girl. And I don't know if she got hacked or it was stolen or whatever. That's the claim. Or if Destiny got hacked. I'm just going with the claim. Right? I'm just going with what the claims are. Now, she claims she never gave permission to do this. And I guess a lot of people kind of knew this but didn't want to bring it up. Now, there's also this background. There's a bunch of screenshots of Pixie speaking with Destiny and other people about Destiny, saying, I want him punished. I want it to hurt. Basically, she was kind of blackmailing him. Like, these came out. She didn't give consent. She knew it would be bad for him if this happened. So she was jumping back and forth between threatening suicide, threatening to kill herself, and then demanding money. And at one point, Destiny was told, hey, she's really struggling with bills and stuff right now. So Destiny offered to pay for some of her bills. But she kept bringing up the number $1 million at multiple times. She brought up the idea of him paying for her entire tuition. And she kept calling it his punishment for what he did, his punishment. Like, she literally says that in the messages. Her paying for her entire tuition at law school. And that she needed to punish him so he knew that this wasn't okay and it didn't happen again. Which kind of freaks me out to begin with. And that's the back and forth. Destiny did a response saying, I was not responsible for the leaks. He didn't really answer whether he had sent them to the OnlyFans girl or not. He just said he wasn't responsible through no fault of his own. And he's going to have to defend himself in court now that she's threatening to sue. It's kind of weird that you try to blackmail somebody and then you try to sue. That's weird, but whatever. Then another girl comes forward. Another girl ends up coming forward and says, I haven't seen any of the videos, but I was just told by 2 different women that there are videos of me, and I didn't consent to being even recorded. So I'm suing Destiny for videotaping people without their consent. There is one message that Destiny sends about recording audio of a guy he hooks up with downstairs or something in the lobby. He recorded the audio of it, but no video. I don't know if that's a gray area. Like, could you even prove? Let's say someone records the audio of you having sex, and it's just like grunting and moaning and shit. Could you even prove that was fucking you? And is just your moaning your likeness? Is that, I don't know. So, Destiny, you definitely shouldn't be videotaping people without their consent. You definitely shouldn't be releasing this stuff, but I don't know. Destiny just made a post on Twitter, and someone tagged me, and Jennifer tagged me in it. And it was a joke. It's a joke, I guess. He says he's shopping for his outfit for his return to streaming. It says, me getting ready for my return stream, and it's a black shirt, a red vest, and this get-up, this 80s get-up, basically like Dr. Disrespect. Which is just kind of a joke, I'm assuming, obviously. So I don't know what's going to happen. Some people in Destiny's community are like, it's over, guys. He was running a porn. He's a pornography kingpin without consent. He's a piece of shit, right? And then other people are like, how many times have you, like, slept with a guy and been like, look, this is what his dick looked like. It was weird. And showed somebody. I don't know. So you don't want to be, and nothing's been admitted to yet. It seems like it's going to be handled in court if it goes to court. I think she's raised like $25,000. I think she got some really bad legal advice at one point. It seems like she's pursuing a law that literally didn't even go into effect until after the leaks and shit happened. Like a law that he wouldn't be held to. Also, I don't know. It all seems weird. So I don't know what's going on. There you go. That's the Destiny stuff. Is he going to be legally in trouble? I don't think he's going to jail. I guess he can be held liable for damages maybe in court, and it depends on how it plays out. Is it going to end his career? I doubt it. I know a lot of orbiters and stuff, a lot of those same orbiters have like backed off on him. This person's not talking to that person. No one's talking here. Like, I don't know. They're not doing content with him anymore. And that happened like weeks before this came out because a lot of people knew about it in the background, but didn't want to come forward because the victim was claiming she didn't want it out there, right? Pixie was claiming she didn't want it out there. Then suddenly she did want it out there, but there's also basically blackmail saying, I need to make sure he gets punished enough. She wanted enough money to where he felt pain, it damaged him in some way, and he wasn't easily able to recoup the losses. And then she's like, I know I'm going to ask him for too much. I know what I'm asking for is too much, but he needs to know that this is punishment. And people were like, what? That rubs me the wrong way. Somebody asking for punishment funds. Like if you did something wrong, take him to court or file a police report or whatever. But saying that you have to name a number that hurts him enough to where it'll be valid is very weird. Very weird. But whatever. I don't know. And I don't know all the details. Again, it's kind of closed lips from both sides because they're fixing to go to court. Let's see. This is the end of an era. This is the last of the starting late with the stream, so I figured why not do it tonight. Tomorrow we're going to be in here earlier. The weather's starting to break. Maybe my seasonal issues will be taken care of. If you live in an area, let's say you live in biblical times, and you live in a kingdom that has one ruler, a king. And a king makes a decree. Okay? A king makes a decree. You know what that is, right? The king makes a decree. That's the same as making a law. It's the law. So if he comes out and says, okay, nobody can wave with their left hand anymore under penalty of death. That's a law. And as long as you're in his kingdom, that would be the law of the land. I don't know. People are struggling with that. People are really struggling with that. Like hardcore struggling with that. What? Everybody knows that wasn't the law of the land. Well, it was a king who made a decree in his kingdom. So they fled to avoid the law of the land. Yes, that was the law of the land that they disobeyed. So, anyways, now that that's cleared up, Dan Colombo. Nope. That's Dan McClellan, not who I'm looking for. Who am I looking for? Is it over here? Dave Colombo, not Dan Colombo. Here it is. Dave Colombo. Got a good video for you.
President Trump pardoned those January 6th protesters. Look, can we finally agree that that day was not a big deal?
Addressing the heinous attack on the United States Capitol. Like all Americans, I am outraged by the violence, lawlessness, and mayhem.
Okay, but the ones inside the Capitol were patriots.
The demonstrators who infiltrated the Capitol have defiled the seat of American democracy.
Sure, but it's not like he wanted them arrested.
Those who engaged in the attacks last week will be brought to justice.
Okay, whatever. What about birthright citizenship? The government has a right to correct a constitutional amendment.
Your Second Amendment rights are under siege, but they will never, ever be under siege as long as I'm your president.
Uh-oh.
Okay, but he's getting rid of...
I like how he doesn't even respond. He just plays video clips of Trump having the exact opposite take on everything.
FEMA, they cannot do the job.
But FEMA, as you know, did a...
Okay, but he's getting rid of FEMA. They cannot do the job.
But FEMA, as you...
Why would Trump be getting rid of FEMA? If we look at his past actions, his current actions, why would Trump want to get rid of FEMA? The reason Trump wants to get rid of FEMA is the same reason that he was impeached once, and exactly what he's doing in California right now. If your state needs emergency funds, he can make a demand of your state. Yeah, we'll send you the emergency funds as long as you investigate Biden and announce your open investigation against Biden. We'll send you the funds as long as your state starts requiring voter ID or whatever his fucking wish list is. He wants to make demands. Literally, he was asked today, like, you're making demands of California, but we're talking about North Carolina right now. Would you make any demands of North Carolina? No, they voted for me. That was literally his answer. No, North Carolina voted for me. Okay.
As long as I'm your president.
Okay, but he's getting rid of FEMA. They cannot do the job.
But FEMA, as you know, did a fantastic job, and a fantastic job also in Florida.
Fine, whatever. Look,
FEMA only does a fantastic job when Trump's in the White House. Every other time, FEMA does a horrible job.
You just admit how cool it was to see titans of social media partnered with the President of the United States.
The Washington establishment and the financial and media corporations that fund it exist for only one reason: to protect and enrich itself.
Oh, come on. They're working together.
For those who control the levers of power in Washington, and for the global special interest, they partner with these people that don't have your good in mind.
Fine, whatever. But we can all agree that that bishop was crazy. The president had a right to condemn her.
Yes.
We will not allow the government to censor sermons.
God damn it, Trump.
Restrict the free speech of our pastors and our preachers and the people that we most respect.
You just gonna
Damn
play
it.
clips? You have nothing to say for yourself? This one's out of context, but I think it fits.
Our campaign represents a true existential threat.
Yes. I'll agree with that one, even out of context. He does. We watched his video before this Inside Trump's Head video.
Morning, everybody, let's have a good shift.
It's a really funny account. If you're on TikTok, follow Dave Columbo. I'm sure he's got YouTube and stuff too. Look up Dave Columbo. It's this bald comedian.
What's your plan to make life more affordable and bring down inflation for someone like me?
Okay, the economy. Let's go with a quote no one's heard of and then immediately back away from it.
You know, they say you're going to vote with your stomach. I don't know if you've heard it, but it's a little bit true.
Good. Can I get an unverifiable generalization in 3, 2...
And groceries, food has gone up at levels that nobody's ever seen before. We've never seen anything like it.
Scary numbers, please.
50, 60, 70.
Trump said that no one in the world's ever seen water like the water in North Carolina before.
Thank you. By the way, that breakfast sandwich looks good. What's in it?
You take a look at bacon and some of these products and
Whoops, didn't mean to do that, but it worked out. Okay, so let's pump up the crazy a little.
some people don't eat bacon anymore.
Too many specifics, pull back.
And we are going to get the energy prices down.
You're going to ask how, pivot to the Dems.
You know, this was caused by their horrible energy.
Uh-oh, we're just hanging mid-sentence. What do you got? Someone jump in.
Wind. They want wind all over the place.
All right, good save. That was close. Okay, everybody, remember the motto. When in doubt, just say anything. It will work. All right, let's cue the joke.
But when it doesn't blow, we have a little problem.
Not great, but let's move on.
This was caused by energy. This was really caused by energy and also their unbelievable spending. They're spending us out of
Remember the motto, anything will work. Somebody.
wealth, actually. They're taking our wealth away. But it was
That is the bumper sticker. All right, I'm going to
Spending us out of wealth. They'll take our wealth away.
I'm on autopilot for just a quick second. Quick reminder to all the new people. Make sure that you clock in and out. Please do not leave him on sharks and batteries before you go on your lunch break, Neil. And lastly, remember where you are. There is no HR department. Okay, I'm going to go cry. Morning, everybody.
He's got a bunch of funny skits.
Morning. Good morning. Good morning.
We watched this one too. I think this is him reading a Donald Trump quote.
Okay. Dave Colombo, 5'11", willing to shave, and I'll be performing a monologue from Donald Trump's Nevada campaign speech. Okay? All right. And it must be because of MIT, my relationship to MIT. Very smart. He goes, I say, what would happen if the boat sank from its weight, and you're in the boat, and you have this tremendously powerful battery, and the battery is now underwater, and there's a shark that's approximately 10 yards over there. By the way, a lot of shark attacks lately. Did you notice that? A lot of shark. I watched some guys justifying it today. Well, they weren't really that angry. They bit off the young lady's leg because of the fact that they were not hungry, but they misunderstood who she was. These people are cray. He said, there's no problem with sharks. They just don't really understand a young woman swimming. But now, it really got decimated. And other people, too. A lot of shark attacks. So, I said, so there's a shark 10 yards away from the boat, 10 yards, or here. Do I get electrocuted if the boat is sinking? Water goes over the battery, the boat is sinking. Do I stay on top of the boat and get electrocuted, or do I jump
Who would have guessed the fucking president of the United States doesn't understand how batteries work?
over by the shark
Or sharks.
and not get electrocuted? Because I would tell you, he didn't know the answer. He said,
Thank you, Dr. J.
nobody has ever asked me that question. I said, I think it's a good question. I think there's a lot of electric current coming through that water. But you know what I would do? There was a shark, or you get electrocuted. I'd take electrocution.
I mean, at least Biden understood how the government works, right? The ins and outs of it, how to get a bill passed, who to fucking butter up. And Trump is just a hammer and everything's a fucking piece of china.
Every single time. I'm not getting near that shark. Thank you. Would you leave right now? Sure. President
We just watched that one.
So-
He's pretty good, though.
Instagram has started to put these ads on my feed. Hey, Dave, I know you've been on the site for a really, really long time. We figured out your algorithm, and we've never, ever, ever shown you anything like this before, but interested? We think you'd be interested because you interacted with content about the food service. What are they, non-slip? You only like progressive posts. Hardcore leftists, we totally understand. But he's got a new book out, 47% off? Wow! I wouldn't wear this if it was the only article of clothing that's ever been invented. I live in New
That's how much they're putting still into ad revenue. After he already won the election. It's just a fucking, everybody's trying to make money off Trump.
York City. It's 10 degrees right now. Even if that was all I had, still no. I don't know where they would find my body, but I would not be wearing that. Well, don't yell at us. You've interacted with content about comedy. Look, it's funny, but not for the reason you think. Hold on. Maybe I get the boots. Use it to hold my toilet brush. What do you think? It is so... Okay, remember when Obama said certain parts of the country cling to pew-pews and religion, which as someone from the South is not untrue, but it was blunt and it offended many people, and he immediately apologized and said that he used the wrong words. Hillary's basket of deplorables.
We're already fucked, kinda. So, most of the world's foremost experts on world powers think that within the next few years that actually there's a guy that explains it really well. Hold on. China is going to invade Ukraine. I'm sorry, Taiwan. I got Russia on the brain. China is going to invade Taiwan, which will more than likely spark a world war. Right? And with this world war, the U.S. obviously is going to be drawn to it. South Korea, Japan's not going to be able to avoid it just because proximity. Russia, depending on how their Ukraine stuff is going. North Korea, because South Korea is with us. North Korea, they ally with China. And we've got Pete goddamn Hegseth at the helm of the most powerful military in the world. Like, what the fuck, dude? A major in the National Guard. Give me just a second to find this video. This guy's a defense contractor. He rubs out. He wasn't in the military, I don't believe, but he's a defense contractor. He rubs elbows with fucking 1- and 2-star generals all day long. He works basically inside the Pentagon for most of the work he does. See if I can find it. It was from today, right? Oh, it's after midnight, so it's from yesterday. The guy looks kind of unassuming because he's got a grill, but he's pretty knowledgeable. I've watched a bunch of his shit. I can never remember his fucking name, though. This is twice now I wanted to pull up one of his videos. But at least today I watched one recently, so I should be able to find it. Hold on. It'll be just a minute. It's not that guy. That guy's good, though. I promise. I'll get it eventually. I watched too many TikToks today. Oh, there he is. I didn't see him. He's under my thumb. Shane Morris. He doesn't do like political stuff. He does like military defense stuff and shit like that. Most of the consensus is China will invade Taiwan, right? And there's only a couple times a year that they can do it because the sea's right, the weather's right, so where they can make it amphibious assault, which is what it's going to take, right? And we kind of know that's coming. China is watching the way we interact with Russia to see what they think they can push to get through right now. And tons of people have been talking about this, how it's not a proxy war. Like, Russia's not a proxy for China, but they want to see what Russia does and how we react. And they've kind of already, in the South China Sea, they've already been pushing the envelope a little bit already to see what'll happen. Not to mention, we've upped our presence there quite a bit because we know it's coming. And Hegseth just not only does he not have the military experience, that's fine. If you want to find somebody from the private sector, but you have to know how to manage a bunch of fucking 1-star generals and all of, just like this guy explained it.
I'm going to say something crazy, but World War III is going to happen in the next 4 years. Hear me out. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm not trying to be hyperbolic. I'm not trying to say anything that is just something that's completely out of my own head. Okay? World War III is about to happen. China is going to invade Taiwan. My best guesstimate is probably 2027. There's 2 windows where China can mount an amphibious assault of Taiwan. And
one of the big markers, if you want to know, if you're actually worried about this or you just want to stay on top of it, China as a population is not like America. They very rarely donate blood, okay? So a huge marker with China prepping to go to war is going to be huge blood drives, right? They don't maintain a large bank as a population. They just don't do it that often, nowhere near as often as like the U.S. or even the U.K. does, blood drives. But they're going to have a huge countrywide blood drives leading up to this because they'll need it.
Either one, that's when it happens. We will have a major power war. The United States will be involved. Taiwan will be involved. Japan's not going to escape it, nor will South Korea. It'll be likely that North Korea is also involved, being an ally of China. We are going to have a major power war. There are going to be significant casualties. There is going to be a huge amount of planning and logistics. This war is going to be the most expensive thing that we have done since World War II. We are going to create tens of trillions of dollars in debt. We will likely issue war bonds.
And this has been building up for years. They've kind of been testing the water. They've had all these warplane incursions. You know, guys seen how many times they've flown over Taiwan and shit. And then when Nancy Pelosi went down there was one. They've been changing some of their manufacturing stuff. Like, they're prepping for war. We know it's coming. They know it's coming. Everybody basically knows it's coming.
Will be something that will be a national effort that likes.
They've also stopped a new weapon integration. So there was a bunch of new weapons that they were supposed to field within the next few years. Those contracts have been paused, not canceled, because you don't want your warfighters going in with stuff they haven't seen. But let's say you're going to replace the primary battle rifle of the U.S. military, right? The M4. You're about to replace the M4 with something wild, like an AK variant. You're not going to do that when you know you're going to go into war within the next 4 or 5 years, because you want your warfighters with something even if it's a better weapon, right? You want your warfighters with something they're used to rather than something new that's going to take retraining.
We have never experienced. It's something that we probably only could compare to the type of industrial capability we delivered during World War II. I'm not trying to scare you. I just really believe this will happen. That is what it is. When that happens, I don't want to be Secretary of Defense, but I sure as shit don't want Pete Hegseth to be Secretary of Defense.
But why? Because you're a bleeding heart liberal trans kid, illegal immigrants? Oh, no, just because he's woefully unqualified and you fucking retards have made this a political issue? Like whoever Trump says he should get because he won the election. No, he's unqualified. Let him pick. Just go pick any 2-star general. Any of them would be better at this point. I would fucking rather have Norman Schwarzkopf's decrepit, dead corpse as SecDef right now than fucking Pete Hegseth. I think that Xi Jinping's plan will probably be a shit ton of like show of force stuff. And I think he'll try to make the argument to Trump without implying it that it would be horrible for your ratings. People are going to hate you. This war is going to be so costly. First of all, who gives a fuck about little bitty Taiwan? Most people can't even find it on a map. Second of all, you know how much people are going to hate you when you lose hundreds of thousands of soldiers over this? It's not worth it for you guys. It's not worth it for you guys. The loss will be too great. You may win. The loss will be so great. This will always hurt your fucking reputation. Everybody will always remember you're the one that got them into the war that cost them millions of lives. Or I think that's the play. Even though we could probably beat the shit out of China, I think the play is make it seem way too expensive in social clout, in legacy points, and Trump will try to back off of it.
And this is not meant to disrespect his service in the military whatsoever. I didn't serve, he did. And I applaud anyone who ever signed their name up. But just because you served doesn't mean you are qualified to operate that organization. Just because you once worked at Amazon, it does not mean you can be the CEO of Amazon. Working at Microsoft does not mean, like, this is the biggest bureaucracy in the world. It is $800 billion a year in defense spending power. It is the warfighting capability of the world's largest navy.
And while people like Elon Musk, you don't think China's paying attention to Elon Musk talking about the DOD and the audit and pulling $2 trillion out of the budget and going through it and rolling that back, and we're spending too much, and Elon's retweeting without any fucking understanding of how this shit works. He's retweeting like, why does this bolt cost fucking $80 when I can get one at Home Depot for 39 cents. Because that bolt holds together an F-35. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Obviously, it's not the same.
Air Force, the second largest Air Force, and the third largest Air Force. Yes, the Air Force has more planes than anybody else, and then it's the United States Navy, and then it's the Marine Corps, and then it's the Royal Air Force. We just operate more than anybody else. Now, Pete Hegseth is a party boy. It is what it is. He cheated on his wife. It is what it is. It sounds like dude likes to rage. I could even put all of that aside.
Even if you showed me a 2-star general with exactly the Pete Hegseth problem about fucking beating his wife and drinking heavily and all these things, at least he still got the 2-star general. Like, he's been in charge. He's been with these generals. He understands. He's done the required reading. He's probably got a fucking master's degree in military history. Like, he's done these things.
And he still wouldn't be qualified because a major, his rank, he maybe, I don't know, he commanded 250, 300 people. I know majors. I'm homies with majors. I'm homies with lieutenant colonels and colonels. I got a few 1-star friends, right? Like, here in DC, your social circle just is what it is. For those of you who know, I'm a defense contractor, so I tend to interact in a lot of different circles. I've worked with the Army, I've worked with the Air Force, I've worked with the Space Force, I've worked with the Navy. I've met a lot of people. I've met some officers who impress me, and I've met some officers who are kind of mailing it in. And the bureaucracy of the Pentagon is something that I cannot really put into words. It's political. It's emotional. It's about promotions. It's about who's right. There's the chain of command. I mean, the machine that is that building is so difficult for me to explain here in a short form video. I'm not even going to try. There's conflicts in politics and feelings just about the academies versus people who do OCS out of college. And I hope the officers who follow me and are friends with me don't take this the wrong way, but sometimes I feel like the people who went to the academies, your West Points, Colorado Springs, whatever, I feel like it's like this Mean Girls kind of vibe. Like, you guys are a clique and then the other officers aren't you guys, which, by the way, I'm not going to disrespect anyone who went to West Point, but like, even among officers, it's a little cliquey sometimes. Okay. I don't think Pete Hegseth can navigate that environment. It takes social and emotional intelligence. It takes people like understanding all these people who've gone to war college. And for those of you who don't know and like don't experience the military every day, especially you don't interact with a lot of higher ranking officers, we have a professional military. So when you get above like lieutenant colonel, most of the people you run into have master's degrees and PhDs. They are thoughtful. They're introspective. They're good at listening. It isn't like this movie version of the generals that you're used to where they're like barking orders. Most of the generals and admirals that I've interacted with, men or women, are thoughtful. Sometimes they're soft-spoken. You know, they're sincere in their direction, right? But they're also kind of cynical a little bit because to stay in that long, remember, you could have gotten out a long time ago and gone and worked in private industry and made a lot more money. You're there because you believe in the mission. Officers, you know, don't get paid a lot. I mean, even your highest ranking generals, I think, make what, $150,000, $160,000 a year. And I know to a lot of you that sounds like a lot of money, but you could get out and make 6 to 10 times that in the private sector working for a Lockheed or a Northrop Grumman as just an advisor. So these people don't do
exactly
the job because they want money. They do the job because they love the job. They are dedicated to their mission. It's a different level of service when you get up that high, especially when you're talking to people who've been in 25, 30 years. And so the reason I can't take Pete Hegseth seriously is because I've interacted with the people who probably are qualified. And I know he ain't them. And that's the most challenging thing about this entire Senate confirmation hearing. There are easily several hundred people who are more qualified, just top of the list. Just grab a 2 or 3-star. There's plenty of them, right? Recent retired, get them up there. They understand the bureaucracy. Those people would be immediately more qualified. They've run large organizations. They understand the politics of the Pentagon. Not everybody's going to want the job. Not everybody's going to want the job, because that's the other thing too. And I have a friend of mine who's a retired 2-star general. I'm not going to say his name or how I know him, because it would be a really easy giveaway, because some of you guys know who I interact with on LinkedIn. I would guarantee you that if he got offered the job tomorrow, he would say no. And do you know why? He didn't want the job. He didn't want the headache. He didn't want the responsibility, because it's thankless, right? Especially because if we're going to be in a hot war, your name will be on that outcome. And they know, well, okay, this is the other thing. When you think about SecDef, it's not like they're in the room and they're the war planner. That's not the job. They're not the strategic person who's making all the moves on the board. This isn't like, they're not going to MCTP and doing the war sim at Fort Leavenworth, right? They are not that granular. Their job is to listen to all the admirals and generals and synthesize all the information and broker agreement between all these extremely strong personalities. You got to be able to sit in a room.
You have to hold the respect of these guys, right? Listen to everything they say, know who they are, understand how they operate, what they're actually thinking, what they actually mean, and be able to make decisions based on all that and put it together for the president. Like, there's no fucking way he's up for this. What, he had a couple hundred soldiers under him at one time in the National Guard?
With some of the people who are some of the most highly regarded people on the planet. These are PhDs, people who have background in sometimes aerospace engineering. Seriously, go look at some of the bios of generals we have serving the United States military and the admirals in the Navy. Like, these people are real smart, and they all have really strong personalities. And this is what makes it more problematic. They're all used to being the person who tells everybody else what to do. And when they all get in a room together, right, they're all going to defer to you. You're SecDef. You got to be able to navigate their politics. That's a lot of strong personalities. No offense, but that's a little bit different than pounding a few at the bar with the boys. And that's why I'm not qualified. That's why most people aren't qualified. It's institutional. It's, can you run a huge multi-billion-dollar organization? And also, do you have the social and emotional awareness and intelligence to be able to deal with that many strong personalities? And then also, do you have the foundational knowledge of the warfighting environment and what the challenges are going to be? And he has none of those. So in summation, it would be a disaster for the United States if Pete Hegseth was SecDef during World War III. And that is my biggest fear, is that a hot war will break out between China and Taiwan. Things are going to get weird and kinetic. And Pete Hegseth is going to be the person who has to get us to victory. That is a scary fucking thought. Also, one last thing, just so I'm clarifying.
Terrifying.
If he gets nominated, look, I'm going to listen to the leadership, right? But there's got to be somebody better, man. I mean, it's just too fucking important. Even if you're hardcore MAGA, what the fuck, man? Just pick a fucking 3-star, pick a 2-star, pick fucking somebody. Pick fucking anybody more qualified. Why? A fucking Fox News? Really? Really, man? Come on. I'm going to say something crazy, but World War III is going to happen.
It's a bad choice. I understand he wants somebody allied to him. He wants a yes man. Any fucking 2-star general, even if they got the same fucking problems as Hegseth, just go find a 2-star generals that you can fucking agree with. It's wild, but he got fucking confirmed tonight. It was a tie. 3 Republicans voted against it. Ended up being a tie. J.D. Vance had to cast a deciding vote. The only thing that I can hope is he fucks it up so goddamn bad that he's fucking gone before World War III kicks off. That's the only thing I can hope, because he's not going to be able to manage it well. There's no fucking way. He's woefully unqualified. It's like you go in for a surgery and you have a surgeon with 20 years of experience behind the knife. And then they're like, oh, well, we got this guy that mops the floors too. And he's really good friends with the guy who owns the hospital, so he's your surgeon today. Yeah, he works at the hospital. He's probably even seen a surgery before. Does that make him the best guy to be your surgeon? Of course not. And then Donald Trump visited North Carolina today, and as well as California. He's still peddling this conspiracy about the water and the endangered fish and the smelt and shit. Here's an article. Los Angeles County wildfires triggered a rant from President-elect Donald Trump, who blamed Governor Gavin Newsom for depriving Southern California of water. Trump today repeated a claim he has made in the past that state efforts to protect an essentially worthless fish called a smelt have caused pain and hardship in California. This isn't true. The water that they're talking about that goes into the Delta is literally split for farmers and people, but none of it would have even been it doesn't even come to the area of California where the fires were. Governor Gavin Newsom, this is Trump's words, refused to sign the Water Restoration Declaration put before him. Somebody find that. Donald Trump says Governor Gavin Newsom refused to sign the Water Restoration Declaration. Somebody find me that document he refused to sign. The Water Restoration Declaration. I'll save you some time. It doesn't fucking exist. It doesn't exist. He made up a document that he claims that Newsom decided not to sign. That would have allowed millions of gallons of water from excess rain and snowmelt from the north to flow daily into many parts of California, including the areas that are currently burning in a virtually apocalyptic way. Wrong. That's the wrong part. It wouldn't have went to that area. Trump wrote today on his social media site, Truth Social. Newsom's office responded with a sharp rebuke and reality check. There is no such document as the Water Restoration Declaration. It's pure fiction. Newsom Communications Director Izzy Gardone said in a written statement, the governor is focused on protecting people, not playing politics, and making sure firefighters have all the resources they need. The fires burning in Los Angeles County were fanned by by severe winds. They had hurricane-level winds when the fire first kicked off, and they couldn't get aircraft in the air to help fight it. I know there was later on. Obviously, we've seen the videos. But originally, they couldn't get aircraft in the air to help fight it because they had hurricane-level winds. Exacerbated by near-zero rainfall throughout Southern California, but sending more water south from the Bay Delta would have done nothing to prevent them or extinguish them. Mark Gold, Water Scarcity Director for the National Resources Defense Council and a board member of the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California, said Trump's comments do not reflect California's complex water supply system and just fan the flames of political discontent. Tying Bay Delta management into devastating wildfires that have cost people's lives and homes is nothing short of irresponsible, and it's happening at a time when the Metropolitan Water District has the most water stored in its system in the history of the agency. What is Trump really mad about? What is he really mad about? Is he made a slight change to the federal guidelines when he was in about the Delta water distribution. Biden and Newsom apparently did away with that and actually sent more water to more towns. He's just mad that they're not using his plan. There is no Water Restoration Declaration Proclamation Emancipation. There is no document. He said they're actually storing more water in its system in the history of the agency. It's not a matter of having enough water coming from Northern California to put out a fire. It's about the continued devastating impacts of changing climates. Trump appeared to be referring to water imported south from the Bay Delta fed by Northern California rivers and snowmelt. But most Los Angeles water does not come from Northern California. It comes from the city's 112-year-old aqueduct that runs from the Owens Valley east of the Sierra Nevada, not the Delta, as well as groundwater. The city also imports water from the Metropolitan Water District, which relays water from the Colorado River and Delta to numerous local agencies. The city was the main motivating force for the building of the Colorado River Aqueduct in the 1930s. So again, that's not where their fucking water comes from. In December, the Biden administration and state officials agreed to a new long-term operating plan for the Delta water projects that effectively replace rules produced by the first Trump administration in 2019, an action that may have sparked Trump's latest social media post. So they're not using his plan. The new rules adjust water allocations for cities and farms and attempt to restore a depleted population of salmon and other fish, including the endangered Delta smelt. Some Central Valley farmers and Southern California cities will see more water and have endorsed the plan, while some farmers will get slightly less water. Water exports from the Delta to the San Joaquin Valley and Southern California via the State Water Project increased under the new plan. Oh, Trump knows all about water. He's a water expert. You call him President H2O. He knows all about... Shut the fuck up. He obviously doesn't. He made up a document and then said Governor Newsom wouldn't sign this document. It was right in front of him. He wouldn't even fucking sign it because he wants California to burn. What? Let's see this. I read the transcript of this earlier, but we might as well just watch the video. Oh. Oh, you remember that thing? You remember that thing that Trump does? The thing that Trump does where he does the handshake where he tries to like jerk the fucking person down. Watch this back and forth with Newsom. He tries to jerk him down again and again and again and again and again and again. You're getting off the plane in California. Damn, it's loud. What happened to the fire hydrants? It was a lot of demand, and the reservoir at the Palisades was down for maintenance. So it wasn't a matter of do we have enough water. It was how much was being called for at that exact time in multiple areas. So like your city probably has a great water supply. But if everybody's filling their pool up one day, because it's National Fill Your Pool Up Day, you still might get little to nothing from the tap. And one of their reservoirs that should have helped to offset that demand was actually down for maintenance. Newsom said he didn't realize why the Palisades Reservoir was down, and he launched an investigation into it. And apparently, it had been down for maintenance and had been down for a few weeks, repairing some leaks when the fire started. Look, here we go. The jerking contest. Watch him. All right, there's the shake. Now the jerk. First jerk. Pull your hand back. You get some space. Another jerk. Another jerk. Pull your hand back. Another jerk. Release hands. What the fuck is this? How fucking weird. They did an investigation. They found it was down. I guess they were fixing leaks, and one of their pumps was messed up, and I guess this pump sits underwater, and they had to drain it down to like a super low level to access this pump, and it was scheduled maintenance. It was like, oh, we know something's broken. We're not going to do it till this time. And the reason they picked this time to do it is because typically they probably planned this out maybe a year or two, maybe even longer before. And typically rains have already hit in Southern California by this point. It was just an extended drought that they didn't know about. So they probably planned this when they figured it would be rainy season by now, and it just wasn't. There's the jerk. Now watch him get some distance. He said, "Oh, that jerk didn't get him off balance enough. Let me space myself out here." And jerk him again and again. It's so fucking weird. It's like a man test he does. Yeah, Trump had to prop his hat up a little bit to where he looks like he's got some height. Wearing his lifts, leaning at a 30-degree angle. Why does Trump lean like that? Well, he's always moving forward. Oh, it's like the way that we wear the flag on the military uniform. Always assaulting forward. So fucking weird, dude. Trying to jerk people off balance. Melania looked like she enjoyed that kiss a little bit too much. Lady Patriot. I hope Trump stands firm on the voter ID issue if he plans on giving federal funds. If not, nothing is going to get better for those living in California. Well, who do you think is spending this money? The money's going to people who are fucking devastated. Who gives a fuck about voter ID? Wait until there's a Democratic president that comes to your state, and when you have a natural disaster, and he's like, well, get rid of voter ID. You better open up abortions all the way, full-term abortions. Is that what you want to hear when your state's been devastated by a natural disaster? That's so fucked up, dude. There shouldn't be any ties to the fucking money at all. Just help people rebuild their lives. Anyways.
To a great gentleman, Franklin Graham, and his father, Billy Graham. I used to go with my father to Yankee Stadium and places to watch his father preach.
None of this shit makes sense. It's bad. It's all bad.
And he was some preacher. Whereas you got good stock. You come from the ultimate genes, I can tell you. But he was really something. And Franklin, though, has done so much, and his father's looking down on him right now. I guarantee for a long time he's been looking down on Franklin, saying, "I'm very proud of you, son." He really is, because what Franklin's done with Samaritan's Purse is incredible. They told me just yesterday that Samaritan's Purse has been great, but the FEMA people sort of left you high and dry, but we're going to change that around. We're not happy with FEMA. As well as all of the representatives. You have great representatives here. Chuck Edwards, who's here someplace. Where's Chuck? Where's Chuck?
I mean, what do they expect FEMA to do? You know, FEMA put people in temporary houses. FEMA did their fucking emergency needs funds. FEMA paid for... What do they expect people to do? What do they expect FEMA to do?
Chuck. Tim Moore. Tim, thank you, Tim. Great job, Tim.
And then people come here and fucking argue with me about it. Like, I'm fucking living in it, dude. Like, some of my friends are living in FEMA trailers.
Both of you guys. Virginia Fox.
My fucking camper floated away. Like, I don't know.
Power. She's a power, that one. Don't ever have her as your enemy. It's not good. It's not healthy. Pat Harrigan. Good job, Pat. Addison McDowell. These guys were just here, just put in, and they're doing a fantastic job. Addison, thank you very much. Great.
Yeah, I don't even think Trump knows. I don't even think Trump knows that Tennessee was devastated. In some places, just as bad as fucking North Carolina. I don't think he knows, because our governor's there, and he's like, oh, we got the Tennessee governor. Everybody likes Tennessee. They come over here to help. You think he's there because he came to North Carolina to help, or you think he's there because a portion of his state was destroyed too? I don't think he knows.
Mark Harris, thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark. Brad Knott, thank you, Brad. Greg Murphy, fantastic guy, my friend for a long time now, right?
You yourself does not like FEMA. There has to be a time between thinking of something and typing it out that you're like, I don't know if this makes sense.
And the RNC chairman, Michael Watley, who really, as I said, brought us to a great victory with Laura. the chairman of the party, the whole Republican. I took Michael Watley from North Carolina because he did the best job and put him in charge of everything, and the job they did together was incredible. Last September, Hurricane Helene became one of the deadliest natural disasters in modern American history. Rainfall rose to far more than 30 inches, which is lethal, unleashing unprecedented devastation throughout western North Carolina and many other states, as you know, but you got hit the hardest. The highest response.
I think you may have had a stroke with your finger on the keyboard. I don't know what you're saying. Well, you should look into Cali Fair. Homeowners insurance is going to be a colossal mess getting folks home real bad. I can't believe that our government hasn't stepped in. There's a problem in Florida, too, with homeowners insurance, where homes that are built near the coast cannot get, these are super expensive homes, like hundreds of thousands of dollars, close to millions of dollars, some of them over millions of dollars. And you cannot get insurance for hurricanes. And the people that are living in those houses, when the insurance cancels, their bank will no longer finance the house and make them sell it. But the new buyer can't get financed unless you got cash, which is what like BlackRock and these investment firms do. But the new place, the new people, if you're looking for a home, you can't get hurricane insurance, so the bank won't give you a loan on it. And the same thing with canceling fire insurance in places where they have fucking fires. What the fuck are y'all doing? I know there was a conspiracy that they were canceling policies during the fire. That's not true. It's actually months before, but still. Like, how can they just come in and cancel that shit and now you're not covered, even though you've had it for fucking 10, 15, 20 years. Now you're not covered, and then a wildfire comes through and you're just fucked.
Responsibility and deepest obligation of the American government is to protect its people, and that's never truer than in times of emergency like this. Unfortunately, our government failed you, but it wasn't the Trump government. It was a government run by Biden. What a terrible situation. But our government failed the people of North Carolina in this horrible crisis. For 2 months, Asheville lacked running water, and even today, some North Carolinians can't take a hot water.
Why did Asheville lack running water? Do you know? Because their water and wastewater plants were destroyed. The fuck are you supposed to do with that? Do you expect there not to be paperwork for FEMA? I don't understand. Is it aggravating filling out paperwork after a natural disaster? Sure. I even had to go find some fucking shit that I didn't even know. I didn't even know where it was at. Like fucking Social Security cards, birth certificates and shit. Especially if your home was destroyed. Do you think that Trump's new plan is no paperwork? We're just going to hand money to people. If you say I have a family of 15 3-year-olds and me and my 4 wives, they're going to be like, okay.
Water, shower. They can't drink water. They don't know where to get it. It's delivered to just go out and somehow find some.
The money is not a long wait. Once you submit your paperwork and if you're approved for the emergency funding or whatever, it's there the next day.
It's been 4 months since the storm made landfill, and still 180 roads remain closed and in ruins. Earlier this month, the Biden administration kicked 2,000 displaced North Carolinians out of their temporary housing into freezing 20-degree weather. I don't know how they did that one, because it was cold, even while your government provided shelter and housing for illegal aliens from all over the world. But under the Trump administration, the days of betrayal and neglect are over. They are over. As I said in my inaugural address, we restore the integrity.
This wasn't true either. So when Asheville started closing down temporary housing places, it was because the numbers were dwindling. And let's say they had 10 camps open, that for weeks and weeks they were saying, "Hey, these 3 camps are going to close, and we're going to move everybody else to these 7 that are still open." For weeks and 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 weeks, and people still stayed at the one they wanted to until it literally closed their doors. Maybe if it's up to your state, you can get the money faster. That's never been a true thing, but okay.
Competency and loyalty of the American government, and I think I said most of it in the inaugural address. We said a lot of things, but one of the groups of people I was thinking about is you in North Carolina. A lot of that was in reference to you and what you've had to suffer. I'm pleased to announce that under our leadership, the federal government will be surging housing solutions to the state that go beyond mere temporary hotel stays that ended up being very short.
There was also some shit with hotels that kicked people out, even though FEMA sent the extensions. And the extensions were approved. I don't know how hotels kick people out, but those people ended up having to go to other shelters. I don't know if it was like mismanagement or email or wires got crossed or whatever, or maybe they wanted to make more money, but some hotels kicked some people out, even though they were paid up and the FEMA had the extension. Everything was good to go. That was wild.
The government wouldn't do it any longer, which is ridiculous. We'll marshal all available resources and bring back potable water and make your water and infrastructure dramatically more reliable very quickly. Today, I'll also be signing an executive order slashing all red tape and bureaucratic barriers and permits to ensure the rapid reconstruction of the roads here in western North Carolina. We're going to go through a permitting process that's called no permitting, just get it done. That's the way they built them many years ago, I guarantee you that, right? We will get them back very quickly, and we'll begin the work of fundamentally changing, terminating, or overhauling FEMA. FEMA's been a disaster, no matter where they are. We're honored to be joined today very quickly by several families affected by the vicious storm. I'd like to ask each of them to share their story. Chris and Kim West, you could come forward. Ramona Nix, Jackie Mitchell, and Thomas Gary Bright. And finally, the Wright family. And come on up and maybe say a few words. Please, thank you very much. Hello. Hi. Come on in here.
Whenever it started, we started moving our vehicles to the top of the road, and by the time we got the vehicles moved, the water had already hit our ankles in the house. And so I grabbed my purse and my little pug dog, and my husband grabbed the dog food and put it in a trash bag. And by the time we got out into the driveway, it was already waist deep, and there was sticks. And
there were some people, I know there were some people locally to me and in North Carolina that got notified. By the way, not only do you get notified by mail or your updated mailing address, they can send it to multiple addresses. Plus, you get a notification on your phone that their house had been inspected and is now habitable or traversable. You can get to it now. That they declined and would not let a FEMA inspector onto their property, or they refused to contact or update their notification. Those people, their vouchers ended, but you have to keep up with it. You have to keep up with it. Every time we break it down and give it to the states is fucking worse. I don't trust my state to manage it better than the federal government, who sees that it's equal across and has all this fucking oversight. That just sounds stupid. Why would we take a system that's fucking working and be like, oh no, we're going to have 50 fucking systems with no oversight? It'll be much better. Anyways, you have to keep up with it. If you're on housing assistance from FEMA, you have to keep up with if they need an inspection. The day we got our letter for the inspection, I called the inspector immediately. I told him where we lived, that it wasn't traversable. He came up with a meeting spot. We went and met him the next fucking day, turned in all the paperwork, had all of our stuff with us. He told us what we needed to bring. I brought everything with him, and he told me to call him as soon as it was open for inspection. Like, I don't understand that.
That kind of thing. I didn't think I was going to make it, but we did make it out, and we made it to the top of the road, and we were kind of stuck there for hours because we couldn't get out any of the ways because it was flooded all the way around. It took us hours, and we sat there, and finally it receded enough to where we could actually...
I think what happens is people get somewhere and settled, and they like this. A lot of times they like this better than where they're at, or they don't check their notifications, or FEMA sends them a letter and they say, oh, fuck that. And then another month goes by, and then they're like, oh, they ended my voucher. I can't believe it. There's a snowstorm going on. Well, there wasn't a month ago when you were supposed to contact FEMA. Like, what the fuck? And here's what's happened. If roles were reversed and people didn't keep up with the paperwork and FEMA kept extending those vouchers over and over again, Republicans and Congress people would be like, why are we paying for these people? They're not even checking in. Well, some of them can go back to their house. I can't believe we're doing this. You can't fucking win. No, I don't want to fucking give it a chance. I know it's going to be worse. Why would we just take what we've been doing for the last fucking 50 years and say, fucking throw it out there and see if it's better? No. That sounds fucking retarded.
To get out, it was probably like close to midnight, and it started like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. We just lost everything that we had. Didn't even have a brush for like 3 days.
No one's stopping. That's exactly right. No one's stopping the state from helping right now. Where the state's at?
Thank you.
Okay, good. Would you like to say something with that beautiful baby? Say hey. When the hurricane storm Carolina hit our home, my daughter and my wife and I were actually out of town. But unfortunately, my dad was still at home, and my mother was staying at our house with our animals. And the waters got so high that it actually lifted between that and the tornado that came through, or microburst is what they've been calling them, and lifted his home and the house that I grew up in and crashed it into our barn. It took away his business. It took away all of our tools and tractors and everything needed to keep the farm going. And my mother was trapped in the house, and there was no way to escape because the water got so high. The only thing she could do.
FEMA has like 13,000 families still in temporary housing. Like, to pretend like they're not doing anything is just an outright lie. I mean, they want it to be political, right? If Trump wasn't running off this and fucking people were happy and no one was complaining, then he'd be running on, I can't believe how much we're paying. Some of these people should be going back to their house by now. Some of these houses are restored.
Was ride it out and wait till the waters came down. So we've been doing a little bit of battling with our insurance and FEMA. We did have proper insurance with...
I don't know what to tell you. Everybody's new to this. People don't get used to fucking being flooded out of their homes in the middle of Tennessee and North Carolina.
Flood insurance and homeowners insurance. But since we had proper insurance, FEMA's not been able to assist us with a whole lot of things. And again, we've been having some issues with trying to get some payout for our insurance in a timely manner.
They also make it super easy. You can upload pictures, you can email the pictures, you can upload them from your phone, you can take them live from your phone and put them on the website. Like, if your house is destroyed, it's super easy to fucking prove it, even if an inspector can't get there.
We had to do mold mitigation on our home, which is extremely expensive, before the structural engineer even came out in order to get our flood payout. And to me, that was not really acceptable.
Has the insurance company been responsive or not really?
Not so much. He an attorney.
What's the name of the insurance company?
North Carolina Farm Bureau.
You gotta move them, right?
Yep.
That's terrible.
That's what we're after here.
Are a lot of people having that problem too? With the insurance companies, general? Different insurance companies? And they're all difficult, or just the one particular one?
I've heard different stories from others, and a lot of folks are.
Responsive?
And I've heard some good instances of even Farm Bureau themselves. But in my case, they'd send out a third-party adjuster immediately. Well, they wound up firing that third-party adjuster group. He gave us a quote for a much higher estimate than what we received.
He got fired?
And then he got let go. Yeah, he got fired. So then they brought in another third-party adjuster to come in and lowball us. We've not received any kind of... So the flood insurance is our primary insurance, and so there was roof leaks in the home that the inspectors found, the adjusters. Well,
I think some of you need to stop and just Google what is moving the goalpost. If someone comes and says blue is an ugly color, right? And then someone says, well, I like blue. And then you say, well, red is a color. And they say, well, wait, why don't you like blue? And then they're like, well, some people like purple. And they're like, wait, but why don't you like blue? And they're like, some people are colorblind. Wait, but why is blue an ugly color? And then you're like, well, some people can't smell. If colors were smellable, they couldn't even smell them.
Contributed to us losing some of our personal properties that come in the third story where there's no, or second story living space, where the flood, well above the floodwaters. So they've neglected us for...
Is your mother safe?
Yes, she's safe. Yep. She's right here.
Okay.
So we made it.
Not exciting, right?
That's right.
How scared were you?
Very.
Did you think you were going to make it?
No.
You didn't think so?
Nope. Just started praying.
So you were sort of on a boat. Your house became a...
And then it doesn't help. So a lot of people refuse to work with FEMA because people are out here claiming that if you took the emergency fund, all right, so listen. Technically speaking, the $750 immediate needs assistance is technically a loan. Why is it technically a loan? You never pay it back. Ever. You don't pay it back unless you got it fraudulently, but you don't ever pay it back. If you have insurance specifically for floods and you get that $750 immediate needs assistance, the insurance company can reimburse FEMA if it's something they would have covered. If you don't have insurance, but you never see the money anyways, right? The insurance company pays that $750 back to FEMA. because they know how long it takes for insurance claims. And this is only for immediate needs. This is to get fucking food. This is to get shoes or clothes or whatever, and to get you a room for a couple of nights or whatever it needs to be. Or get you gas to get to your neighbors or your sisters or whatever. If you don't have insurance, you don't pay it back. It doesn't matter. But these goddamn conspiracy theorist motherfuckers convince people they got lithium underneath their house. And if they take money from FEMA, they can take their house from them. And if they do this, then they're going to steal all your supplies. And FEMA's showing up in helicopters and taking everybody's... And none of this was fucking true. None of this is fucking true. They just convinced people of this so they wouldn't work with FEMA.
It's a big pontoon. That sounds silly. It was a beach house on steps. I bet this guy could say something. I was next door to the house, and my son was out of town, so when he came in to Charlotte to my sister's, he called about 2 in the morning because at midnight the water was still in the stream, within the banks. So when he called, the water was coming up, so I started moving vehicles up to about 5:30 in the morning. And she was in the house, and I pulled up to the steps, and I said, hop on the fender and I'll get you out. Well, he built a beach house on stilts, 5 times higher than the floodplain. And she said, well, he said, I'd be okay. So I'm staying with the dogs. So I went to higher ground with some vehicles, hers included, and the water covered everything. But I'd already seen it come around both sides of my place. So I got my...
He was an hour and a half away or something. I don't know. Our governor was there.
Blind and deaf dog and a bag of valuables, and took up off the side of the hill behind my house, and then was heading to the...
Dude, it sucks, but when the bridge collapsed, that probably killed all those people down at the industrial park, that wall of water that came through there. When the bridge collapsed, it was probably 30 minutes, and our water was back inside the riverbank. The bridge was basically making a dam.
The cemetery back there, raining.
You never started
No, I've been through floods all my life around there. Never done.
Yeah, you don't have to pay the $750 back. Now, they might, without your even knowledge, they might get that reimbursed to your insurance company, but you don't even have a process in that. They don't even ask you about it. They just ask, do you have insurance? Who's your policy holder? And then you never talk about it again. But yeah, they were talking about if you take the money, they'll take your house, and if you let an inspector come out and you've got supplies, they're going to take them and redistribute them. That FEMA was going around to local supply places and taking all the supplies to only FEMA locations where you had to go get shit was wild.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Our day that morning began a little taller with some trees falling into our house, which our house goes back 4 generations, 80 years, and never came close to flooding. And we woke up with trees about 4:30 or 5 in the morning, and our house sits 3/10 of a mile back off the road, like we saw. And like most everybody else, we moved 5 feet. Water started coming in the house, and we got up to about ankle high. We had a loft. I got her up in that and tried to gather what you might want, which was totally random. And when it made it to the loft, and started getting the makeshift ladder, and we got out on our roof, and we spent 4 hours on the roof. I had a little baggie. I did notes on my cell phone to my 2 kids and my 2 grandkids, and something to identify me in case we were lost in it.
Did you think you were going to make it?
No, we didn't think we could make it at all. I mean, our house was 25 feet underwater.
So you didn't think you were going to live?
No, we were watching houses, trailers, bodies coming by us. And we live in the Azalea Road area in East Asheville. Yeah, we watched our garage float by. Yeah. But, we got to a point where it crested about 4 feet up on the roof. We took about 3 or 4 hours for it so we could kind of do everything in reverse and got out in the mud to higher ground. And I got out higher ground up to the subway and got over to her daughter's house, where when she saw that I didn't have her, she lost it. I was like, she's okay, she's alive. And we tried to make our way back in there and gather things best we could, but found a body right away. There was about 8 bodies in our area that first 2 weeks located. And we were lucky we weren't one of them and blessed. But like other people, no insurance on flood insurance, so we had to depend on FEMA. They did what they could do, and of course it's not enough. Yeah, not crazy. But again, we're thankful to be alive, but it's a long haul.
What are you doing now?
Staying in the camper. I've never been, if y'all notice, I'm a big guy. I don't sleep in campers very well. And the first night we spent in the camper, very grateful with the Asheville Dream Center coming through with one. And
You still have the land?
oh yeah, it's family land. Yeah, the land, it looks like a beach now. It's sand. But with them, we're working with people.
That's what happened to us.
4 generations.
But the house is totally down.
No, the house is there. It was down to, they came in and mudded it, but everything in it was completely destroyed. But yeah, it's tough. I think we're at a point in Asheville where people forgot about Asheville, and it's stagnant. Everything is stopped. Yeah. Thanks, sir. Appreciate that. Thanks, Jack. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know that I could pass. I probably couldn't pass the security check to get anywhere near Trump.
I'm a pastor in the XR church right down the road. We had only purchased in May. And it's a big church. We're a small congregation. And I had people say, what are you going to do with this big building? And I said, only God knows. And we had our dedication, and the storm came the next week. And the outpouring of people. My son brought the first.
I just wanted to say for all you people that are.
Oh, my God.
I stayed there for about 3 months. I slept on the floor for about 3 weeks because the need was so great. The people were so devastated. And I said, I want to be here for them. And they were coming in just day and night, so there's really no need for me to go home. But we had people from Tennessee, Texas, Indiana, Oklahoma, people from all over. We have not received any help like from the government or anything. But I said, Lord, if you want us to do that, people, so they came from all over the states.
But FEMA did nothing. It was the locals.
Wasted time and money.
The locals and the people that knew us. And before the week was over, our church.
Here's the thing.
With supplies, we couldn't even walk. Even in our sanctuary, it was up to the platform of things, and in our halls and in our rooms, and we're just now beginning to get a little straightened out. But somebody said, how long are you going to be here? I said, I'm going to be here through the winter and even on, if possible, because when you meet people that's been through the struggle, I had a little lady.
Yeah, FEMA doesn't care about flood zones, right? FEMA doesn't care about flood zones. There are places where you're required, like you can't get a mortgage and shit without, there's different classifications of the flood zones, but they don't care about it when they're helping people. So, like, the area the campground's in, they would not give them flood insurance, right? Because, fuck, when we have a flood, the part where we usually keep tents always floods, right? That's like a normal flood. It comes up to like our parking lot, but all that's down there is like some picnic tables and some fire pits, and we move them. But they could not get flood insurance, but they didn't care.
He come up and I said, can we do anything special for you? And she said, I don't want to be selfish, but said, could I have a cup of coffee? And I handed her that coffee, and she stood there and tears just poured. She said, you don't realize how important. It's not the big things in life that we have, but it's the little things and knowing that God is our source. I don't look to man. I don't have to have a lot of things. I had trees, about 20 trees down in my yard, but that didn't really matter. It doesn't matter because the needs of the people is what I want to be there for. God is good. He's very good. And my daughter, now her house is really in bad shape. And I'll let her tell you about that. But thank you, President. This is our president. We appreciate you so much.
I live out in the Fairview area of North Carolina, and near the Back Cave, Lake Lure area, and our area was hit. It was hit really hard. I was home alone, and my husband had stayed in town because we take care of a little lady that's 98 years old, and she lives out in the woods by herself. And I said, just stay with her and make sure that she's okay. And I got up the next morning, and my first thought was, I want to go see what our road and bridge looks like. So as I was making it down to the road and the bridge, there was no road and bridge. And so, here we are, we're like a little island, we can't access the main road or anything. And then the fire department came by the next day and said that they were evacuating me and my neighbor because a landslide was going to come.
They were in October when we had that first little cold snap. They were claiming that 15 people froze to death because FEMA wouldn't help them. And they all froze to death underneath a bridge overpass and all died of hypothermia. None of that was true. I don't even know where the little videos and screenshots and shit they got them from, but none of that was true in Avery County.
And they told me to get my stuff and get ready. And so while I was getting my stuff and getting ready, there was a knock at the door, so I thought it was the fireman. And I went to the door, and there stood my 21-year-old son. His name's Nathan, and he had drove as far as he could to get to me, but he hiked 5 miles, and it took him a really long time. He got there, and he said, Mom, grab a bag, we gotta go. And I said, son, there's no way I can hike out of here. And he's like, no. He said, we gotta go. So we started hiking out, and I seen one of my neighbors who. She had no clothes on. Her skin was like chunked up. It was just, she was blue. She had been in the waters, and where she had went or I don't know. Horrific is just all I can say. But then as me and my son hiked on out, we went through where this place, we call it Craigtown.
We're having record-breaking cold right now, which doesn't help, right, with people living in campers and tents and whatever. But we usually don't stay this cold for this long.
There were like a lot of family members there that passed away, like 11 of them, and there were people out everywhere looking for their loved ones, and there were dead bodies. My son's like, Mom, you're going to see things you don't want to see. And so anyway, we got through all that, but I stayed at our church in our sound booth. My husband and I, we just slept up in the sound booth for a couple of months because we didn't have power or anything for about 2 months out there. And then we have went back. I've been fighting with FEMA since day one. Our community, there's like 32 homes. We don't have a road and a bridge. We're driving through our neighbor's property. I went to EMS and I said, look, my concern is if we have a fire or we have...
FEMA doesn't do roads and bridges. I've been fighting with FEMA since day one. We don't have a road or a bridge. I don't either. FEMA doesn't do roads and bridges.
An emergency out here, you're not going to get to us. You can't get those big trucks up here. And I've called FEMA, and I said this happened on September 27th. That's 4 months ago. Well, for us today,
a lot of people left. So a lot of people left the shelters and went out and got tents and campers and shit when the weather was fine, and they wanted to be on their property and make sure they didn't get looters and shit like that. And then shelters close when there's not enough people. I mean, people stay there, they're going to stay open, right? But they close when people start leaving them. That's how the stuff in Asheville happened.
September 27th. We haven't had help. And so when I talk to FEMA, I'm explaining the road and the bridge, and they send me a letter that tells me to basically fix it and send in my receipts, and they'll refund me some money. I'm looking at a road and bridge that honestly, the bridge itself's probably 27th. We haven't had help. And so when I talk to FEMA, I'm explaining the road and the bridge, and they send me a letter that tells me to basically fix it and send in my receipts, and they'll refund me some money. I'm looking at a road and bridge that honestly, the bridge itself's probably going to be $300,000, and the road could be close to that also, because the community has to have big boulders brought in. We're not a rich community. We can't fix it ourselves. It's just
FEMA doesn't fix roads and bridges. I got the guys that helped me build the little bit of road access underneath the train trestle that we first built or whatever before the railroad came and helped us, like the ramp we built or whatever. I was able to submit their names and hours they worked, and I think they got reimbursed for their time. They were just volunteers, but.
And as far as like house repairs, I'm still pending. I can't get money from FEMA until I fix the road and bridge and send in my proof that it's fixed and everything. It's been a nightmare, and I totally feel like that
I don't know if she's talking about like her property crosses a creek and she needs a personal bridge there or something. I don't know what she's talking about, but even then FEMA doesn't do roads and bridges.
And if it had not been for our fellow American citizens who stepped up to help us, I don't know what we would have done. I have 5 neighbors around me who completely lost everything. I had damage to my house, and I don't feel entitled. I'm embarrassed to even say I need help because, and sometimes there's even that survivor's guilt is what they're calling it. You feel guilty to even be alive sometimes. When you look around, you see your neighbors that are gone. And it's just, we need help. I wrote a letter to send to Congress. I don't understand what's going on. If we can't get FEMA help, then will you guys help us? Will you step up and be our fellow citizen? Will you step up and be our neighbor and send us something? Help us get our community back. I could go on. It's just I don't know, it's just heartbreaking. I appreciate you.
Good daughter, take care of mom. And your son must be great.
My son is great.
No, he sounds like a real leader.
He really is. To hike
How would you
him,
have been if he didn't tell me to get you?
I don't know. I'd just would have been there because the only thing we could do, there was no way to get out there. The only thing we could do was just hike up to the church, the first church that was up there, about 3 miles, just to get,
Troops are prohibited by law from doing law enforcement duties. But here's the thing.
And they're going to do a job, and Michael Watley's going to be very much in charge, and you'll get it done. And FEMA's ready to rock. They haven't done the job because they weren't really told to do the job by Biden. I guess Biden was thinking about other things, wasn't he? But they weren't told. What they did, what the past administration did to North Carolina is a disgrace. So I just want to wish you all well. I was here right after the event, and I couldn't believe it. I have never seen anything like it. I've seen a lot of bad things, but I've never seen anything like it. And it's an honor to meet the people behind me, and it's an honor to be with our congressional delegation and some of the other politicians in the area. And it's an honor to have Michael Watley at my side, because maybe we wouldn't be standing here as president if he wasn't. Him and Laura Trump were unbelievable as the head of the Republican Party. So he happens to come from a place called North Carolina. So I said, Michael, fix it. So good luck. Good luck. And we'll supply what you need. You know that. Okay? Thank you. Thank you all very much. Thank you very much.
Heartbreaking stories, and how there's been so many local groups who stepped up to us.
Yeah, that's one of the things you hear.
Any talk on having money instead of going to FEMA and go through Roxy to go to them?
That's what I want to do. We want to bring it locally so that the state takes care of its problem, and then they can bring it down to a local level, like Samaritan's Purse and Franklin, because that's one of the better examples. But you have numbers of people that did a great job. You have groups that did a great job, and organizations. The one that didn't do a good job was the government. They did a bad job. They did, in many ways, they did no job. They weren't even available. So. Good question. The answer is we go local. I think it'll work much better. FEMA is a very expensive organization that really doesn't work out very well. It hasn't. This is not the only example. So it was up to me right now. It ended right now, and I just let the state take care of the problem. I mean, you can always have problems. Let the state. If it's Florida, it's a hurricane. Let Florida take care of it. They don't need FEMA to come in. Yeah. Yeah, I envision a very important role for him. It's any role he wants. He's a very capable.
I think people expect FEMA to be there like immediately when the natural disaster happens, stay forever, take care of everything, and you just sit back and not have to worry. And that's just not what they do, right? They're there to help, but they're not going to be the first ones there, right? That's going to be emergency response, first responders, shit like that. There's paperwork to go through because you have to prove that there's tons of people that try to scam the government every day. There's people that I know that scammed the fucking government and people around the insurance and shit like that over this. There's horrible people that do that. You got to do the paperwork. You got to fill it out to make sure who you are and who the government's sending the money to. You got to respond when they reach out to you. They don't do roads and bridges. That's not their job. It's not what they do. If you're in a shelter, stay in a shelter. If you don't know how long it's going to be before you can get back in your house, don't fucking leave in the middle of winter. Lose your spot in a shelter and your voucher and your payment from FEMA to go live in a tent knowing that fucking December's coming.
Capable guy, Michael Watley, a very capable guy, and he's friends and works with these guys, keeps them elected, right? They have to do a good job, otherwise, no matter how good Michael is, not going to work. But they've done an amazing job. They've been great. You're lucky you have great congressmen here, and woman, by the way, a great woman, very powerful woman. They're going to do a great job. They'll do it together. They'll work together, and we'll supply what they need as they need it. We'll coordinate that, and we will immediately get the Army Corps, Michael, because you need roads built. You know, we're talking about the bridge, we're talking about roads and things, so we got to get them built. All right? Okay. Thank you all very much. Thank you very much.
There was a longer portion where he was talking to politicians and shit. That's what I read the transcript from. It was probably this one, maybe. That's where our governor was and shit. This must be the whole thing. Because he talked to our governor. He's like, oh, you come over here to help, didn't you? You just live over that ridge over there, don't you? I didn't actually see the video. I read the transcript, but still, same thing.
Be able to help. And a lot of people have helped. And not just Samaritan's Purse, but there's been many different or so for coming.
But I'm going there. But we set up to go there. They said, well, what about North Carolina? They said, well, what would you...
Yeah, this is the transcript.
Stopping in North Carolina. So we made the stop, and I feel very good. You're represented by some great people, great congressmen. Through to a tremendous victory, one of the, as the media says, one of the most consequential presidential elections ever. They say in 129 years, whatever that may mean, but whatever it is, it was a great election we had, and we won your state all 3 times. We won your state, and all 3 primaries we won your state. And I promised that I'd come back to Western North Carolina to help the people of the state, and today here I am, roads fixed and get ready to go. I don't know what it is. I don't know what took so long for the other administration, but remember, I wasn't here for the first 4 months or 3 months, whatever it may be. See, we can only start as of essentially 1 or 2 days ago. We've made a lot of progress over the last couple of days, Michael. I understand we're going to get you the resources you need and the support that you deserve, and we'll be at your side through every step of the rebuilding, and no American is going to be, as if Franklin decides, maybe he'll rip it down and build him a new one, because sometimes you can do that just as easily, but we're going to take care of the people. I want to thank our great First Lady for coming today. She really wanted to be here. She said, no, I want to go. And, she sees what happened.
It seems obvious to me, like, Imagine you could have your company give you your paycheck, right? And you fill out a time card and they give you a paycheck. And you work 40 hours a week. And sometimes, there's only 39 and a half hours on there. And sometimes they pay you for 41 hours because somebody messed up. And sometimes you have to fill out your time card twice because they lost your time card. But you get paid and the system seems to work. And then somebody comes in and says, no. We're not going to have payroll pay you for 40 hours. What we're going to do is we're going to set up 40 different agencies. And each one of these agencies is going to represent 1 hour of your day. And you're going to try to navigate through 40 different agencies to get paid for 1 hour, 40 different times. And it'll be much better because we've never tried that before. That seems silly. All right. The older millennial.
Law enforcement.
So we got Harry Sisson here talking about posse comitatus.
But here's the thing. Troops are prohibited by law from doing law enforcement duties. So if Donald Trump doesn't change the law and just does it anyway, he's going to be flagrantly violating it.
Harry, you are fucking pre-law at NYU, so I refuse to believe that you don't know how posse comitatus works. See, the posse comitatus...
Actually, he does know how it works. Chat, what is posse comitatus? The posse comitatus says, without exception, from Congress or something explicitly laid out in the Constitution, military members cannot enforce the law on U.S. soil. That's what it says.
Comitatus Act prevents the United States military from performing law enforcement duties against the citizens of the United States. And if
is that what it says? It says they can't enforce laws of the United States against citizens of the United States. When a cop decides to pull over a car, how does he know if it's a citizen or not? When a cop sees somebody walking down the road and wants to investigate that person, how do they know if they're a citizen or not? When a cop gets a tip that someone's doing something illegal and they move to that area where the person was spotted, how do they know if it's a citizen or not? Does the Posse Comitatus Act, does it say anything about U.S. citizens? It's 18 USC 1385, by the way. Let's see what it says. You tell me when you hear the word citizen or non-citizen or illegal, you let me know, okay? I just keep reading. Whoever, except in cases and under circumstances expressly authorized by the Constitution or Act of Congress, willfully uses any part of the Army, the Navy, the Marine Corps, the Air Force, or the Space Force as a posse comitatus or otherwise to execute the laws shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 2 years or both. To execute the laws. It doesn't say execute the laws against citizens. It doesn't say execute the laws against non-citizens. It doesn't say execute against illegals. It doesn't say execute at the border. It doesn't say execute in fucking the Bible Belt. It doesn't say execute in New England. It says to execute the laws. When you use the military to execute the laws, you shall be fined or imprisoned or both. I don't understand how the older millennial
preventing illegal immigration
is wrong every time he fucking opens his mouth and people cheer him on. Every time he opens his mouth, he's fucking lying.
Who's to believe that you don't know how posse comitatus works? See, the Posse Comitatus Act prevents the United States military from performing law enforcement duties against the citizens of the United States. And if they're there preventing illegal immigration...
It doesn't have anything to do with preventing them. It prevents them from enforcing the law in any way, shape, or form because that would make them... Someone, chat, help me out here. Someone who's enforcing the law would be... Just take those words I said and kind of switch them around. Someone who enforces the law would be law enforcement. Law enforcement, that's the answer. Someone who enforces the law would be law enforcement. The military cannot be law enforcement. It doesn't matter if they're enforcing the law on Jesus Christ himself. They can't be law enforcement because they would be enforcing the law.
The United States. And if they're there preventing illegal immigration, are those people citizens of the United States? No. And I refuse to believe that you don't know this. Like, seriously, dude, you have to know this. Like, this had to have come up in at least one of your pre-law classes. Refuse to believe you got this far in college and have not addressed posse comitatus. But no, the United States military would not be violating any law whatsoever.
They actually would. I've been to the border with the military. I don't know if you guys know this, but it doesn't matter. The National Guard has an exception because they're the National Guard. The National Guard has an exception because they're National Guard. The regular Army, when they're at the border, we've done this before. When the regular Army goes to the border, they're usually unarmed. They're sitting in vehicles or in crow's nests or something. They have binoculars and a radio. All they're doing is an advisory role because they can't be law enforcement, but they can say, okay, we see somebody crossing the border here. And Border Patrol can go do that, or law enforcement can go do that, but they can't be law enforcement. All right, calm down. That's enough. Over on Facebook.
Regardless of the fucking article you just read. In fact, one of the primary duties of the United States military is protection of our border. And that's exactly what they would be doing. Harry, I'm going to need you to spend less time on TikTok and more time at school, because this is pretty bad, little buddy.
But here's the
now listen. Now he's 1,000% wrong. The article behind him says troops are prohibited by law from doing law enforcement duties, and that's right. Now, are there loopholes and shit you can do? Yeah, we can talk about all that, but he's 1,000% wrong. And here's his comments. How is Harry still relevant? I'm not pre-law, and I knew that one. Thank you so much for the truth. Undocumented immigrants that committed crimes or not vetted needed to go. Spitting straight facts here. Oh, Harry, how silly. I'm Canadian, and even I knew that. I loved when he was on Pierce Morgan and they all destroyed him. You're the best, OM. You just brilliant. I am so surprised that Harry still makes posts. Barron is attending NYU. Would love to see Barron debate Harry. Harry just needs to give up already. He's always wrong. LMAO, amen. What the fuck, dude? People are just fucking sheep. People are just fucking sheep. It has nothing to do with where they're at, citizens, non-citizens. It doesn't matter. They cannot act as law enforcement. Whether at the border, the heartland, can they act as a military? Sure. If there is a foreign power invading our border, of course we're going to use our soldiers there. They cannot be law enforcement. They can't pull people over, arrest, detain people. They can't question people. They can't investigate. They can't do any of that. Unless Congress or somewhere in the Constitution approves that. I just don't understand how these motherfuckers can be wrong all the goddamn time. And he gets so many fucking views, owning the libs and just being fucking wrong. It's not snowing in Florida.
I just wanted to say for all you people that are like, oh my God, it's snowing in Florida. That's not Florida. That's lower Alabama. Like the section of Florida that is currently experiencing snow is not Florida. The rest of us who live in actual Florida don't claim that area. That is lower Alabama. That is where the people of Arkansas and Alabama.
Didn't Tallahassee and fucking Panama City get snow?
Go to experience a beach. Let's be real about this for a second. Not all areas of Florida are created equal. And each part of Florida has its own cross to bear. Like Miami, they got to deal with hurricanes hitting them head on. Like hurricanes build up to Category 4, Category 5. They hit Miami. That is the first place they hit. Well, it's the first place in Florida they hit. Normally they fuck the Caribbean up as well. But that's Miami.
Little Bitchville, Alabama.
Miami's cross to bear. Now, the section of Florida I live in, our cross to bear is fucking tourist. Like, we got to deal with everybody from every section of the country, every section of the world coming to this area of Florida.
If I'm Buffalo, you've got to take one of your guys and lay Mahomes out.
100% facts. Buffalo, fuck. I just want to. It only took.
I want to see what else he's been talking about.
That's all it took for J.D. Vance and the Trump administration to find furnished apartments for all the victims in North Carolina of Hurricane Helene. For all the people that had lost their homes and were living in tents in negative degree weather, where families, mothers, fathers, children were literally freezing to death. And I know this generation has a hard time understanding the word literally. That's not an exaggeration. Families, including children, were freezing to death in North Carolina because the best the Biden administration could do was fucking tents. 4 days into the Trump administration, all of them have furnished apartments to stay in.
Bullshit, first of all. Second of all, if they moved into apartments today, if that's your claim, there's no way that they found them, acquired them, and everything in 4 fucking days. The government doesn't move that fucking fast. This has been in the works for a goddamn month. We got more temporary housing on January 14th. And then again, 2 days ago, there was more houses that come in. You're fucking lying. You're fucking lying.
They are safe from the cold. Children are no longer dying from exposure to freezing temperatures. And it didn't take an act of Congress. It didn't take a restructuring of FEMA. It didn't take arguments between politicians. It didn't take a shitload of bureaucrats to get involved. It just took a president and a vice president who actually fucking care about the people. 4 days. 4 days, and this administration has already done more for the victims of the hurricanes than the Biden administration did the entire time they were there.
Even in chat, people are saying, I haven't heard anything about this. Where is it? Oh, you got to go to Rumble to find it, but they don't tell them where. Just go to Rumble. It's awesome. I guarantee you that every victim from Helene in North Carolina is not in a furnished apartment. I guarantee it. There's no fucking way.
If Trump did nothing else, he's already more successful than Biden. And while we already knew that J.D. Vance was far...
Trump promised that he would get everybody temporary housing that needed it. There's no fucking way. You're lying.
...superior to Kamala Harris, I don't mind seeing reminders of it. It only took 4 days. There's no such thing as a law-abiding illegal alien. I've heard this term thrown around a lot recently, and I just wanted to say that's not a fucking thing. Because every single person who is an illegal alien is a criminal. Every single one of them without question. Because crossing our border without permission...
I don't think that's true. Even if we lay this out logically, I know what you're saying. If you cross the border, that was a crime, and you shouldn't have done it. What if you go to sleep in Mexico, and you wake up in the United States through no fault of your own, and you don't commit a crime? I don't even think that's true logically.
It's a crime. I know there's going to be a ton of people in the comment section that are like, what about people claiming asylum? Well, did they come to a port of entry and claim asylum? Because at that point...
Yes, those are asylum seekers.
They're not an illegal alien. Now, if they illegally crossed our border in violation of 8 U.S.C. 1325, and then when they were caught, they tried to claim asylum, that's not how asylum works. You don't get to commit a crime and then try to cover it up with an asylum claim. And look, with all these mass deportations going on and all these immigration raids happening, everybody's like, we want to make sure that it's just the violent offenders that are being targeted and that ICE isn't going after these law-abiding, undocumented...
I'm looking at even super favorable, like Fox News articles and shit, and none of them are claiming that Trump or J.D. Vance put anybody in housing while they were in North Carolina. They said that money should be allocated towards finding temporary housing. I can't even find an article with the word furnished in it. You're lying. You're fucking lying.
Like I said, you cannot be an illegal alien in this country.
Which hurts. That probably hurts fucking donations and support and all kinds of shit. If he's running around here telling his followers and thousands, if not millions of people, like, oh, all the victims in Western North Carolina from Helene, they're all in temporary apartments.
And be law-abiding. If you entered this country illegally, you are a criminal. I hope you are caught, charged, and deported.
Stop saying this, too. Stop saying this. I don't give a damn what you want to support or what you want your government to support. Stop saying that you're going to take money from all the money we was given to illegal aliens is going to go to Helene victims, is going to go to the military budget, is going to go into stem cell research. I don't give a fuck. That's not true. We're going to put 100x on that money, trying to round them all up. So there is no, all that money is going to illegal aliens. We're in deficit. I can't tell you how many people have said, oh, Trump took the money from the illegal aliens and gave it back to FEMA before he decided to get rid of it. Trump's going to give it back to FEMA, and that's going to go to those people from the storm. As long as they agree with him politically and do what he says. Bullshit.
One of the reasons why the majority of the content I've been consuming over the past...
How does Trump, baby, winning make every white male bad and affect your dating life? I want a video on that, please.
Few days has been Dean and Parker.
We have discovered the issue. So just for some context, this woman said that Donald Trump getting elected to be president makes not only every white male bad, but also directly affects her dating life. She said that the media she's been...
I'm sure that's exactly what she said.
How do you not see how Trump winning has affected my dating life? I genuinely don't understand how you don't see that. A convicted felon, person who was found liable for SA, How do you see?
Oh, hey, what's up, Joel?
Me, and therefore affects my dating life. Trump winning has done much more than just endanger us with our human rights, but also it's going to normalize misogyny and bigotry and racism and sexism more than ever before. And we've already seen it.
So she's already said way more than he ever fucking said.
I've seen videos.
I'm from Alberta, Canada. I don't know why you keep saying Tennessee.
Texts that were going around telling people that, you know, to go work on a cotton field and be a slave. I've heard women who've heard men yell, your body, my choice. You see it all over Twitter. Like,
Anyways, back to the older millennial.
Exclusively over the last couple weeks is Parker and Dean. Lady, do you understand the history of the people that you've been listening to? Here's Parker. Yeah, real upstanding white dude. That's who you've been listening to. And Dean, just last year, Dean was running a scam using that bald guy from Romania's platform. You know, the Andrew guy whose last name we're not allowed to say here? Dean was literally running scams to get people to buy a fake ebook off of him. And that was just last year. Not to mention that the people you're listening to were 13 and 14 years old when Trump got elected. These are your sources of information? These are your sources of truth? These are the people that led you to the conclusion that Donald Trump getting elected means all white men are bad? And the dating is somehow super difficult now? Here's
Facebook's always wild.
Since you think people that vote for Donald Trump
stays wild.
Make anybody you date show you their voting record. Don't get me wrong, I think worrying about who somebody voted for is
We have some breaking news. Egg prices have gone up 37%.
Well, buddy, it's wild that you consider that massive breaking news since you didn't give a shit the entire time that Joe Biden was president. For example, this is egg prices over the last year. You know, when you were telling us that groceries were getting cheaper, that groceries were getting more affordable under Joe Biden. I
don't think that's what they said.
Just in the last year, it went from an average cost of $2.50 per dozen to up above $4. We look at the price of eggs throughout the entire Joe Biden presidency. I mean, shit, when he took
Well, this does look like it's getting cheaper. Several times it's getting cheaper.
over the economy from Trump, that shit was $1.50 for a dozen.
So if you're going to argue it went up 200% under Biden, then you got to say it went up 237% since.
Eggs. It's
Black and
born and raised.
People of color.
Is anyone surprised that the people doing this are white women?
This is why he has ammunition. Is there are a lot of fucking cringeworthy pieces of shit that say stupid shit. A lot of it's for reactionary content, and he's just oblivious. Like they want a reaction out of it.
Anybody?
He gives it to him.
Not. As if anybody was going to do this, it was going to be white women. Do they recognize how demeaning this is? Do they recognize how fucking tone deaf this is? White liberal women. Let me explain something to you.
I want to go hear the song now.
Black and indigenous people of color. Black and indigenous people of color. Lesbian, gay, bi, transgender, and queer. Lesbian, gay, bi, transgender, and queer. Asian American Pacific Islander. Asian American Pacific Islander. Latino, Hispanic, Romani, and Creole. Latino, Hispanic, Romani.
Okay, it's kind of cringe. I don't know what she's doing, but
Creole. We all have a place in this world.
we all have a place in the world. That's a pretty good message, I guess.
We all have a place
Kind of cringy.
in this world.
I wouldn't be singing it.
You real quick. Black, indigenous, and people of color do not need an anthem from you. They don't need you, and they don't want you to be chanting a song for them in the middle of the fucking woods. Take all your Wiccan prayers, all your cat lady chants, and leave Black, indigenous, and people of color alone.
But if she can't speak for them, why do you get to speak for them? It's just as cringy for you to tell them, like, hey, these people don't want this.
They don't want you. And when you do things like this, they cringe. I mean, let's be real. We all cringe. But if you're black, indigenous, or a person of color, I cannot wait to see your reactions to this. Fucking liberal white women are always good for a laugh.
Donald Trump and his administration have now ordered federal workers to report people if they're engaging in DEI.
No, he
Yes, they did. You guys want to see the email? Before we see his response, you guys want to see the email? I'll read you the email. Somebody that I know from the FBI sent this to me, and I've seen other examples of it. And with the other examples of it, I've been confirmed from a bunch of different departments. It says this one came through the VA. Dear agency employees, we are taking steps to close all agency DEIA offices and end all DEIA-related contracts in accordance with President Trump's executive orders titled Ending Radical and Wasteful Government DEI Programs and Preferencing and Initial Rescissions of Harmful Executive Orders and Actions. These programs divided Americans by race, wasted taxpayer dollars, and resulted in shameful discrimination. We are aware of efforts by some in the government to disguise these programs by using coded or imprecise language. If you are aware of a change in any contract description or personnel position description since November 5, 2024, to obscure the connection between the contract and DEIA or similar ideologies, please report all facts and circumstances to DEIAtruth@opm.gov within 10 days. There will be no adverse consequences for timely reporting this information. However, failure to report this information within 10 days may result in adverse consequences. Thank you for your attention to this important matter. So, did he demand that they report people in? Not really, I guess, unless you just want to be disciplinary. You want disciplinary action.
He didn't. He told federal workers to report instances of workplace discrimination because now that he passed the executive order, any instance of DEI is workplace discrimination. So he advised them to continue their normal policy regarding that. Which, look, dude, I know you've never been to an actual, job, but any job that you actually go in person to, there is a board somewhere that tells you to report workplace discrimination. Any place you work, they have to post that. But again, like I said, I'm not blaming you for not knowing that because, really, when's the last time you went into a job? Rich kids don't get jobs, so it's not your fault. But reporting workplace discrimination is the responsibility of any employee of the federal government. And
there you go. That's a way to phrase it.
Workplace discrimination. People are supposed to report that. Yet another case of massive breaking news.
Yeah, you can say whatever you want, but I don't think you really understand the internet. If you just stop arguing with them, they'll just fucking leave you alone. But when you're saying, just stop it, they're just going to keep doing it.
I'm not going back to Haiti. We'll have to agree to disagree on that, my guy, because you are. Don't get me wrong. Look, I recognize fucking life sucks in Haiti. Most people don't pay attention to this, but Haiti is not the only country on that island. They share that island with the Dominican Republic. Life in the Dominican Republic is pretty good. Life in Haiti, not so much. Before any of you liberals are like, well, life sucks so much in Haiti, why don't we accept those people here in the United States? And I would say we're simply adopting the same policies that the people in the DR do. And did you know when that earthquake struck Haiti and just fucking destroyed so much shit, you know what the Dominican Republic's response was? Didn't send aid, didn't help out. What they did was send their entire military to the border just to make sure the Haitians didn't cross over. Here's the thing.
If people on the internet figure out something bothers you, they just keep doing it to bother you.
Comes to the people of Haiti and what it's like to have them inside your country. I'm going to take the word of the people who share a fucking island with them. Those people don't want a single fucking Haitian on their side of the island.
Okay.
Yeah, my dude, have fun back in Haiti. Here, Port-au-Prince is really shitty this time of year.
A January 6th insurrectionist who was pardoned by Donald Trump has rejected his pardons.
Yeah, bro, you mean the 71-year-old lady who campaigned for Kamala Harris? That's who you're talking about? You're talking about Pamela Hemphill, a woman who originally campaigned for Donald Trump, and then after January 6th, where she pled guilty to misdemeanor trespassing and served 20 days in jail, and a couple
because she woke up. She woke up to what Trump had him do.
Years later, when the election cycle started up, she campaigned for Joe Biden and eventually campaigned for Kamala Harris and was actually on the payroll of the Democrat National Committee. I'm so surprised that woman rejected her pardon.
Everybody they disagree with is on the payroll of DNC. They've even accused me of it.
First of all, she's 71. What do you think is better for her immediate future? Rejecting this pardon and continuing to get paid by the DNC, or accepting a pardon and wiping off a misdemeanor trespassing from her record? That's a hard choice.
She said, I'm not a victim of Jan 6. I was a volunteer. She was called MAGA Granny in some news headlines, has said that she no longer supports Mr. Trump or believes his lie about the 2020 election was stolen. She said that a therapist had helped her change her view of the attack by telling her she was not a victim of Gen 6. I was a volunteer. I lost my critical thinking. She said, this is actually a good story. I lost my critical thinking, she said on Wednesday, reflecting on her involvement in the riot and the Stop the Steal movement. Now I know it was a cult. I was in a cult. Her wish to reject the pardon was previously reported by the Idaho Statesman. Ms. Hemphill said she has spoken with a lawyer about spurning the grant of clemency, but had not taken any legal action to do so. It is not clear that she can legally reject a pardon. It would be a novel act to file a court case to reject a pardon of a misdemeanor, in part because of the low stakes. Mark Osler, a professor at the University of St. Thomas School of Law in Minneapolis, said in an interview. There is some legal precedent, however, suggesting that any such request could face an uphill battle. In December, 2 federal prisoners whose death sentences were commuted last year by President Biden asked the judge to block the reduction in their sentences, arguing that it could jeopardize their appeals. Judge James R. Sweeney, the second of U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Indiana, dismissed the prisoners' request last week, ruling that the prisoners could not reject their commutations, even if they did not ask for them or want them. Judge Sweeney pointed to a 1927 U.S. Supreme Court ruling that found that a prisoner who had been sentenced to death could not reject a commutation for President William Howard Taft. Taft, by then the Chief Justice, did not take part in that case. The prisoner argued that the commutation had been issued without his consent, but Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr. wrote that a president did not need the prisoner's consent for the commutation to take effect. Just as the original punishment would be imposed without regard to the prisoner's consent and in the teeth of his will, whether he liked it or not, the public welfare, not his consent, determines what shall be done, Holmes wrote. Judge Sweeney wrote that the decision, although nearly a century old, remains good standing law. So there you go. You can't even do it if you wanted to. It's more of a publicity stunt, I guess. Anyways, fuck the older millennial. He's wrong every time he opens his goddamn mouth. And I guess we'll hop off here tonight. Thank you guys for joining us. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out with me. Support the show at coldbeer.fund. That would be great. Coldbeer.fund. I'm thinking about setting up a simpler link website like Linktree or something, and just putting all the links there. I don't know. But either way, we could use the donations to help the show. If that's something you can do. If it's not, I understand. Everybody's struggling. Thank you all for joining us. This is like right after Christmas is a really bad time for making even ad revenue is fucking shitty right now. That doesn't matter. Anyways, thank you guys for joining us. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'll see everybody on the next one. Have a good night. And we'll be back tomorrow earlier. Tonight was the last of the late streams. So we'll be in here at 9 or 10 at least tomorrow. Thank you guys for joining us. Thanks for being here. We'll see you about the next one. Have a good night. Love you. See you. Bye. See you, Dano.
But I can tell you this about if this douchebag.
The end of an era.
This particular show, you don't have the fork and balls to call out the people on this.
My tote bags and stuffed bears. Yeah, I need to get them going.
Exactly.
9.5-inch shadow bear.
Yeah, you don't have the fork and balls. You don't have the balls.
They apparently have some merch that you can only order from China, and you have to talk to a Chinaman to get it. I wouldn't know. The Yakuza control it.
Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in them bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. And they say that I'm a lunatic. Well, listen, bitch, I came equipped with a quick wit and a 6 cents for the stupid shit. Where my true believer? Y'all need Jesus. Praise the Lord and to the extreme. All these false fucking prophets who profit off of gossip. Worshipping drums, cocking, begging for a throat deposit. Swinging fucking meat hammers like four in a thong. He's strapped to the shaft, eating his chest like he's King Kong. Starving for attention, I'ma make your gut burst. I'll be your huckleberry, I can quench that thirst. Baby eating lizard people, alien sex. What's next? Trump in a dress, fucking Flynn on his desk. A retard in a vest, climbing up 5G towers. Cause you told him if he did, he'd get fucking superpowers. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in them bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit.
Yeah, he doesn't get pardoned for his crimes with CP. But yeah, one of the guys that got pardoned also has a bunch of charges and convictions around CP.
I found myself a tunnel that led to Jason Q's bedroom.
Dude, I can't wait to talk about my court case. I got some of the wildest filing today. It's crazy. It doesn't even make sense if you're manic and on cocaine. So I don't know how this happened.
Put on a light coat, a baby radio and saluted the troops. He tapped me on the shoulder and said, "This is gonna be it." Whoa. Stop. What?
I'm excited. I'm thinking about doing a Patreon tell-all
Come on, fucking stop. Dude, come on. It's
about how court works.
my mom's an alcoholic. Oh, give me a... Oh, my God. Damn it. Here we go. I think I started some shit. Piss them off. It's about to get lit. Get the place in the best. You know that stage is...
Daddy's home.
Buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go. I think I started some shit. Piss them off. It's about to get lit. Get the place in the best. You know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Round 3. Down goes Nino. Please say it isn't so. Got him backed up on the ropes, trying to ram it down his throat. Now things are getting rocking. He was
Good night.
doing so well. It's all over. Hands on his